Welcome to the extreme, high-stakes world of heavy haul transport. This is not your average highway delivery. Out here, there are no paved interstates, no safety nets, and absolutely no room for error. The payload they are hauling today is nothing short of a massive, metallurgical leviathan. Secured to the deck is a colossal wind turbine tower section. To put things into perspective, this single solid cylinder of steel tips the scales at a staggering 107 US tons. Moving a structure of this immense magnitude across flat ground is a logistical nightmare. But moving it through twisting mountain trails, over blind crests, and up punishing high-angle dirt grades, that requires a highly synchronized armada of man and machinery. Take a look at the incredible engineering on display here. At the heart of this operation is a state-of-the-art multi-axle hydraulic modular trailer. We are looking at a highly specialized 18-axle configuration. Every single tire on that deck is independently suspended, designed to evenly distribute those 107 tons of crushing weight across the fragile dirt road. Without this hydraulic equalization, a load this heavy would instantly crush the unpaved surface, sinking the convoy up to its axles and ending the mission before it even begins. At the absolute helm of this massive undertaking are the prime movers. Up front, you have a pair of heavy-duty puller trucks, flanked by a beastly MAN heavy tractor and an IVECO heavy hauler. They are literally linked together by thick, high-tensile steel tow cables, functioning as a single synchronized power plant. The convoy engages its gears. You can visually see the raw mechanical violence as thousands of foot-pounds of torque are generated. The massive tires bite into the loose soil, fighting for every single inch of traction. Slowly, agonizingly, the Megaload successfully crests the first punishing summit. But out here in the wilderness, victory is incredibly short-lived. The terrain ahead is a terrifying gauntlet of blind, razor-sharp hairpin turns and continuous, unpredictable elevation changes. Let's venture deeper into the transport zone, because the real danger has not even begun. The tactical dynamic of the mission is about to shift drastically. The convoy has reached the apex, and now they must navigate a steep, treacherous downgrade. The laws of physics completely flip. Gravity, which was their greatest obstacle just moments ago, has now become a lethal, invisible enemy. When you have 107 tons of dead weight positioned on a steep downhill slope, gravity wants to drag it to the bottom at terminal velocity. If this massive steel tower gains even a fraction of uncontrolled momentum, it will transform into an unstoppable runaway missile, obliterating everything in its path. To prevent this catastrophic scenario, the lead puller trucks are disengaged. The entire survival of the convoy now relies heavily on the rear. Attached to the back of the hydraulic trailer are two massively heavy reinforced dump trucks. Their singular mission? To act as giant rolling anchors. Listen closely to the terrifying symphony of heavy machinery under extreme stress. You can hear the violent, high-pitched screeching of the massive tires fighting for grip against the dirt. You can hear the relentless, deep roar of the engine brakes, commonly known as Jake brakes, working in perfect overdrive. The drivers in the rear are forcefully downshifting, using the pure compression of their massive diesel engines to hold back hundreds of thousands of pounds of kinetic energy. Simultaneously, the air brake systems are screaming under the intense pressure. The friction inside the brake drums is generating extreme, blistering heat. If the drivers ride the brake pedals too hard, they risk brake fade, a terrifying phenomenon where the brakes simply melt and fail completely. It is a brilliant, highly dangerous balancing act. A ground crew member walks carefully alongside the trailer, his eyes locked on the hydraulic lines and tire rotations, ensuring this multi-million-dollar behemoth makes it to the valley floor in one piece. They reach the bottom, but the mountain immediately throws another brutal punch. As the convoy transitions to tackle the next massive vertical climb, an invisible hazard suddenly appears. Look closely at the ground directly in the path of the lead tractor. A razor-sharp piece of debris, possibly a jagged rock or twisted metal, lies right in the track of the massive tires. In normal driving, running over a sharp object might mean a simple flat tire. But in the world of extreme heavy haul, a pneumatic tire operates at pressures exceeding 120 psi. When you introduce 107 tons of downward force onto a compromised tire, a blowout is not a hiss. It is a violent, concussive explosion. A blowout here could destabilize the 18-axle trailer, shifting the center of gravity and potentially flipping the entire $1 million payload off the mountain. In a split-second display of incredible situational awareness, a ground spotter spots the lethal threat. Without hesitation, he physically kicks the debris out of the path just inches before the massive rubber treads crush it. A disastrous blowout is narrowly avoided, and the massive transport continues its grueling ascent. But then, the absolute unthinkable happens. With less than 160 feet to go until the final summit, the convoy violently grinds to a devastating halt. Right in the middle of a dead steep, punishing incline, the massive MAN prime mover has suffered a catastrophic mechanical failure. The diagnosis from the crew is a transport driver's absolute worst nightmare. The relentless pressure, the extreme payload, and the brutal incline have combined to literally shear the heavy-duty bolts right off the truck's driveshaft. Also known as the propeller shaft, this vital component is the central artery of the entire machine. It transfers the massive rotational power from the transmission directly to the drive axles. When a drive shaft snaps or loses its bolts, the engine is completely severed from the wheels. Instantly, the massive prime mover is neutralized. It transforms from a powerhouse into 70,000 pounds of dead weight. The situation is beyond critical. They are stranded on an extreme uphill grade. If the primary air brakes or the remaining active trucks cannot hold the line, gravity will violently rip the entire convoy backward down the mountain. No matter how meticulously a team engineers a transport plan, the sheer unrelenting brutality of these mountain roads can snap solid industrial-grade steel like a dry twig. But in the extreme heavy haul industry, surrender is simply not an option. The crew immediately executes an emergency recovery protocol. A fresh, highly capable heavy-duty prime mover is quickly dispatched from the rear to take the place of the crippled truck. They carefully unhook the damaged rig, towing it out of the danger zone, and hook the new tractor to the head of the Megaload. However, simple physics dictates that pulling from the front alone on a grade this steep will no longer be enough. They need massive, brutal pushing force from the rear to break the inertia and get this 107-ton monster moving uphill again. Right on cue, one of the heavily armored Howo dump trucks carefully reverses down the treacherous path. It maneuvers into a precise position directly against the rear bumper of the trailer, ready to act as a mechanical battering ram. The stage is perfectly set for the final, ultimate push. One heavy haul tractor pulling with absolutely everything it has from the front. One massively heavy dump truck pushing blindly from the rear. The drivers synchronize their actions over the radios. The engines spool up, injecting massive volumes of diesel into the cylinders. But the challenge here is not just the steepness of the final grade. The road surface has fundamentally changed. The convoy has transitioned onto a solid concrete surface, but it is deeply covered in a highly dangerous layer of loose gravel and stone dust. From an engineering standpoint, this drastically reduces the coefficient of friction. In simple terms, it is incredibly slippery. If the massive drive wheels spin out and lose traction on that stone dust, the upward momentum will instantly die, and the extreme weight of the tower will pull them all backward. Slowly, agonizingly, the mega transport begins to inch forward. The massive tires bite deep into the dust, searching desperately for microscopic bits of grip. You can hear the engine screaming at peak RPM. The sheer, calculated willpower of the ground crew, perfectly combined with the raw horsepower of these machines, is actively overriding the laws of physics. Foot by painful foot, the synchronization holds. The tires grip. The push-pull tactic is working perfectly. They conquer the final, brutal 160 feet, cresting the summit at last. They have defeated the treacherous mountain. They have overcome a catastrophic mechanical failure, and they have successfully delivered 107 tons of crucial infrastructure to the top of the world. This operation stands as a pure, unfiltered testament to human ingenuity. nerves of absolute steel, and the incredible, awe-inspiring power of heavy machinery operating at the absolute limit. For more extreme, gravity-defying mountain transports, jaw-dropping heavy hauls, and incredible mechanical rescues, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you are subscribed. Let those ads roll for a few seconds to support the crew bringing you these incredible frontline moments. Until the next extreme transport, stay safe and keep those engines running.